right now I'm printing something for my wife. It doesn't matter what it is, but as I was printing, I noticed that the ACN for, I don't know whether you can see it or not, for the Law Society of New South Wales is 0000699. And there's some history in that. There'd be some history in that number, because that makes it the 699th company, doesn't it? Ever to be registered in Australia. Look, everything about my YouTube channel is boring, so that's another little boring thing, but I like that sort of thing. It's like seeing an old-fashioned car driving by, which has a number plate of 12. You say, oh wow, look at that, 12. Or a flash modern car with that number plate, because you could buy them. Those old-fashioned number plates. But I'm so boring that when I see something like that, I say, oh, I wonder what the 698th company was, and I wonder what the first company was in Australia, and and I'd probably find that the very first company that was started in Australia, may well have started before January the 26th, 1788. There's actually fascinating history to be found in the strangest things, like even, in the, that's nothing, just someone's company number, and which starts, everyone says, oh, we're a new country, a new culture, compared to some of these other countries. I speak to people from other places like Ethiopia. We have a culture that lasts, that goes back 3,000 years, and you've got a culture that only goes back 250 years. And I sort of say, gee, we invented the idea of companies quick, didn't we? Now, if indeed the first company, oh no, it would have had to be registered, perhaps Australian company number, after Federation, wouldn't it? At a guess. See, you get the history of companies. The history of companies in the Western world, for example, and I'm sure England, would feature dominantly, even more than prominently. I don't know. What is it, East India Company and all that sort of stuff? This is all part of our history here in Australia. Our culture goes back 3,000 years, We weren't a new company when we started. Or we weren't a new country. Is there much difference between a company and a country? Yeah. You could write a book on companies. Look, all these ideas, the structure of Australia and all that sort of stuff, the fabric of the culture of Australia, like even after day one of the coming into existence of Australia, we were a fully fledged country with company numbers, for example. There's history to be found in the most insignificant looking things, I think. Okay, so I wonder what the first company in Australia was. Wait, I'll find out. Hang on. I didn't plan this. Hang on. First company in Australia. List of the oldest companies in Australia. How about that? Okay. Somerville Farm, 1808. I don't know whether this is all of them. 1817, Bank of New South Wales. Okay, that makes sense. So, companies, they would have to, wouldn't they? They'd have to predate Australia. It would have had to carry forward, wouldn't it? I wonder if the numbers carry forward. See, this is coming from someone who's not. Oh, there's one. Clayton Utes, 1833. I know about those guys. A lot of Holden, 1856. saddlery and automotive. Started off as saddlery, I think. Somerville Farm. Allen's Law, all right, 1822. Australian Agricultural Company, 1824. Cascade Brewery, 1824. I believe my wife's uncle, yes he did, he worked for them in the Greek immigration story, and he went over to Cascade Brewery and got involved. He ended up going gangbusters like a lot of Greek immigrants did, and now he's got his own factories and all that sort of stuff. Now, the Van Diemen's Land Company, 1825. Minter Ellison, another law firm, 1827. Lionel Sampson and Son. The Sydney Morning Herald, 1831. Now, Australia doesn't even exist. Melbourne hasn't started yet. I know one of the first companies in Melbourne would have been one of my ancestors' bakery on the corner of Swanston Street and Collins Street. I wish we still had that property. He's pretty famous. He introduced gas to Melbourne. He's the brother of a great grandmother. Overton was his last name. Mountcastle Proprietary Limited. That one's in red, so that might mean it doesn't exist anymore. Horton Wines, know those guys. Australian Gaslight Company, 1837. Now that's interesting because my ancestor was 1840. Actually, no, it would have been 1830. 1830s, definitely. Yeah, 1830s. But the Australian Gaslight Company. So let's look at that. Yeah, Wikipedia is amazing. Oh, you shouldn't use Wikipedia, but do you doubt any of this? You just have to know how to read Wikipedia. It's just dumb to say I wouldn't refer to Wikipedia because it can't be proven. You just have to know how to read stuff, and you can tell whether something's probably right or not, and you can always double check it anyway. To just say I wouldn't read Wikipedia because I could say I read something on Wikipedia, like this episode so far. Oh, I don't believe a word of that, what you just read out on Wikipedia, because it was written on Wikipedia. Well, guess what? I don't doubt any of it. I reckon all of that's right. Even though Wikipedia is, what do they call it? Unsourced. Sort of, so anyone can write anything into Wikipedia. And yet, I still reckon what I read there, I reckon all of that was right. You just have to know how to read things with a skeptical eye and know what's probably true and what's not probably true. That's probably true. All right, Australian Gaslight Company. All right, so there's a Wikipedia entry about that. If I read the first sentence, would you say that's rubbish because it's on Wikipedia? That doesn't make sense. You read it and you can sort of tell whether it's rubbish or not. I'm going to read it, and you know what? Even before I read it, I reckon it's right. Because you'd have to have some sort of motivation to write rubbish in there for a start. We're not talking about current politics here. We're talking about a historical company that probably nobody cares about much. Okay. Oh, it's AGL. Australian Gaslight Company. I didn't make the connection. I'm with them, so they've lasted a long time. The Australian Gaslight Company, AGL, was an Australian gas and electricity retailer. That's interesting, past tense. AGL, the modern AGL, must be a different version, with a similar name. It was formed in Sydney, in 1837, and supplied town gas for the first public lighting of a street lamp in Sydney in 1841. Now that's interesting to me, because I think my ancestor had the first lighting of a street lamp in Melbourne at about the same time. His surname was Overton. My great-grandfather, his middle name was Overton because they kept the name going for a while. AGL was the second company to list on the Sydney Stock Exchange. Yep, okay. The company gradually diversified into electricity and into a number of locations after a combination of a merger and demerger with Alinta in 2006. It was replaced by AGL Energy. I read all that on Wikipedia, so it's all rubbish. Nah, it's not. Okay, that was a history of companies in Australia. And I got all that from just reading a company number there. I still don't know the sequencing of Australian company numbers, ACNs. I've got a pretty good, I'm a bit of a number plate spotter. I've got a pretty good idea of how number plates work in Melbourne. I've been spotting them ever since I was a kid. I like all that, but I'm not going to go into that right now. Okay.